I'm always hoping that the thrift shops will have something interesting and vintage, but every now and then we stumble upon honest to gosh antiques like this Edison Wax Cylinder Player. I don't know if you define antique by 60 years or 100 years, but either way, this one totally fits the bill. And I always worry now and then this antique store will have really old stuff, and you just know that everybody coming through is messing around with that and probably damaging the mechanism. I didn't find a price on this, but I'm not overly concerned about that because I wasn't going to buy it anyway. Apparently, it had more parts safely tucked away in the back. They also had a big gramophone, but I didn't get a picture of that. I wish that they would not display glass frame paintings on ottomans with wheels that are blocking the walkway. I am so glad I didn't break that. Looks like stitchery, but it's not. It was pretty either way. And then they had several of these big old binders of newspapers. I think this one was from 1935, if I remember right. There were some older ones in another section of the store. I want one of these. I would love to sit through and read all of the ads and articles. And yes, I know that if I got one, I would not make the time to read through the whole thing. But it's nice to daydream about it and think about the possibilities. And the ads in these are just so much fun. This newspaper is somewhat local. I thought I saw some buildings in the pictures that I recognized, but it could also be that those were just a very common style of building back then. The Owl Drug Company. Silk crepe and taffeta dresses. It's the ads for the dresses that I want to read and do things with. You can be better dressed and better nourished, and here are many ways to do it. This is not that far away from what would be in my Pinterest feed this morning, I don't think. And the house plans. I just love these. They were so crumbly and the pages were loose, and I think this one was $50 and the price was half off. I don't know how I would store it. I don't know how I'd be able to read through them without destroying them, so I left them there for someone else. These binders were, I think, a religious newspaper. Ads for the Pennior Sanitarium in Kenosha, Wisconsin? WIS must be Wisconsin. And then there's the Jackson Sanatorium, which has a fireproof main building. So does that mean that if you weren't lucky enough to have a room in the main building that you were out of luck? Cures for consumption. And look at the furniture sold on small weekly payments for elaborate furnishings. And again, that is an older version of the ads for the local rent-to-own places, except the furniture in this ad looks a lot prettier. Some of these ads I don't want to. I suffered agony with salt rheum. I don't know what that is. I'm sure there's a lot implied in these ads that I could figure out if I thought too hard about, and I'm not going to comment on that one that's on the screen right now because I don't want to know. I really kind of don't. It was hard to walk away from these, but I was good, and one of my sons was trying on jeans, so I actually had a lot of time to leaf through them. Love the ads for the fabric. My oldest son called me over to see this thing. It's one of those soft sculptures that was popular in the 80s, but its eyes follow you, and I'm not sure if the video captures how well this guy's eyes follow you. I'm really shocked they didn't try to talk me into bringing this guy home because he was something like I've never seen before. This is the first time that I have ever seen an antique nightstand. The antique nightstands like this one are absolutely a dime a dozen. And they're usually in about the same condition as this one, except they usually don't have hasps for a lock added to the front. I'm sure there was a completely logical and not creepy reason that they did that. We are building a collection of these scorpions in resin with sparkly backgrounds. I think this is number 3 or 4. It was 99 cents, and somebody probably didn't have one already, so it came home with us, and I do not know which of the sparkly scorpions belongs to which of my kids, and I am not going to referee that argument, so we'll buy the next one we find too. That was a pretty desk back in its day. I love this clock, and it wasn't until I got home and was editing the video that I saw that those are stems and I was holding it upside down. It's a bouquet of flowers. It was crazy heavy. I think it was made out of metal, and I would not have the nerve to hang it on my wall and hope that the nail held and that nothing jostled it loose, but it was so pretty. I don't know if there's a chance in heck that that wind-up mechanism still worked. On half price day, that might be worth hanging on a wall just there to look pretty. Thanks for joining me. I'm Michelle with Michelle's Romantic Tangle, and I'll be back with you again